So most meetings and events are forgotten as soon as they finish, right? I mean, you've been to those. I don't know how many of you have actually sat on the other side of a screen, being on the receiving end of this. So never mind presenting and being the one leading the conversation. And my big question today is, and I'm so excited for our guests because my big question is this: what if your next client meeting or your next event or your next webinar could actually change something? How they feel, what they believe, and possibly what they do next.
Welcome to Propulsion, the weekly show for financial planners and advisors who want to build better, more successful businesses. I'm your host, Francois du Toit, and every week we dive into the practical strategies that matter, from growing your client base and improving your services to developing yourself and your team. Whether you're running your own practice or you're part of a larger firm, you are guaranteed to find actionable insights to help your business thrive. So with that, welcome, and let's get into today's episode.
I love it. I love it. Right. Good morning, Enrico. Welcome to Propulsion Live, my friend.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I have to say, like, everything that's going on in the news, and unfortunately, we can't enable anyone on all the tariff changes. But the one thing that I want to do today, and I'm going to throw Francois here into the deep end, Senator Cory Booker did a 25-hour talk. So today we're going to push this session to 26 hours because we have a lot to say. So let's see if we can all stick here. No, I'm just joking. It's exciting to be here with you today, Francois.
Awesome, man. Enrico, thank you very much. So I can't introduce you the way that, or specifically multimedia, that the way that you introduce multimedia, because, and this is something I really want people to pay attention to. If you ask Enrico, what is multimedia and what do you do? Enrico, what do you do?
So here at Multimedia, we create meaningful connections between brands and people, in person or virtual. So for the last 33 years, we've been in the corporate eventing space. And obviously, we all went through a little challenge called COVID-19, where we had to relook what is happening in our world. And during all these different live streams, we realized there's something missing. We can't treat them like the usual events that we used to do. And we said, no, we need to change. So we started looking a lot more into the emotional connection that our customers, our clients need to create with their audiences. And slowly but surely, this thing started to change and change and change. So currently, our main focus is to help people achieve their event objectives through creating these meaningful connections between them and their audiences. It's not about the tech. It's not necessarily always about the message. It's about that emotional connection that we create so that we can leave long-lasting change and influence audience behaviors. Because we don't spend 10,000 Rand, 100,000 Rand, millions of Rands on events for good coffee and scones. No, we want to create change. We want to impact people so that they can go out and create meaningful experiences for themselves and move our brands forward. So in a nutshell, that is what we do. Our focus is around event consulting, event content to help you land your message, and then ultimately servicing your entire event, whether it's an online meeting or an in-person event, with our different technical solutions to enable you so that you don't have to worry about anything. We want you to enjoy the moment, connect with your people, and have them in a space where they can flourish, learn, and go out and make change.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Right. So a lot of that, obviously, I mean, there's some people sitting here going like, I'm not putting on events and I'm not doing this thing, right? But the things we're going to talk about today is things that you can do, like in the meet. Like this is like a meeting, right, Enrico? I mean, you and I are now having a chat. This is pretty much like a Zoom call, and it's not a Zoom call, by the way, but it's mimicking one. And we like a lot of that does translate into this, because I feel like one of the things we've really been missing is really connect. All we did was, okay, how do I use Zoom? Where do I start a meeting? And then boom, off we went, and we were just doing whatever we were doing, but we're never intentional about the experience that we create. And specifically, like for me, experience is a sort of like a dance almost of having certain emotions and then building in strategic tension, or building in tension strategically, so that there's I mean, if you watch a movie and it's always the same, and it's just like after 10 minutes, you're either asleep or you're putting it off, right? So that's sort of what I want to get into. And you already led with technology, and that it's not about the technology. And I think so many of us, including myself, get, oh, my amazing setup, and like, this is so important, and this is cool. Like, look, if you walk in here, this is like a mini spaceship. This must be what Han Solo felt like. But it's not about that. So you talk about the fact that technology is an enabler. I want to know, what do you mean by that, and why is it such a big idea for you?
The first thing that started to kind of change our opinion around technology. See, we make our money from the technology that we have, and people often say, like, yes, dude, like, you're so anti-technology and it's your main source of income. And I'm like, no, it's not that I'm anti it. The thing is, people are approaching it in a way where the technology becomes the solution. People think that if they have a great setup like this, or the setup that Francois has, or if they have a great setup at an event, that makes the difference. And it doesn't. It's only a tool to help you land your message at the end of the day. And when we talk about technologies, I love referring back to the Vietnam War, because it kind of proves this point that you can have all the greatest technology in the world. The US attacked Vietnam. They had M16 rifles, they had helicopters, they had B-52 bombers and the best artillery, yet they couldn't defeat their opponent because they were hiding in tunnels and using hit and run tactics, and they had these supply chains that couldn't be stopped. And those things are so powerful. And it comes to strategy and connection. Your technology is not gonna achieve what you want to achieve if you don't have a strategy and if you don't have any sort of connection with the people. David mentioned this morning as well, talking about that emotional side and the connection that we need to create with people. It's not what people tell you, it's how they make you feel. And it's such an important thing for me personally, is what is that emotional connection that people have. So when people start looking at the different technologies, I need a better camera, I need a ring light, I need a fancy microphone, it often becomes gimmicks. And we love to talk about technical gimmicks. So what is a gimmick? It's a novel feature, a promotion that doesn't provide long-lasting value. And it's really something that I try to challenge every single person is, what is that long-lasting value that the person that you're meeting with, the person that you meet at an event, what are they leaving with? It's about creating a moment in time. Like it's a shared experience of value. I think that's what I'm trying to get to. It's so important for us to have these connections with people. And how do we create these shared experiences? By focusing on the objectives, focusing on the emotional state of the person, and then looking at the technology at the end of the day with how do we achieve those things. And often we find that even in meetings, you might meet with a customer. You don't think about what that person is going through, sitting in that seat or sitting in that call. And we miss the opportunity to create that shared experience of meaning. We fail to create an environment where we can truly set them up for success. And the most important thing is also, like, we as humans love to create moments of enjoyment, entertainment. We want to have fun together. We want to talk about the future. We want to achieve greater things. And often we drown those experiences with the technology that we either want to force into a space or the technology that we want to use and justify based on its output rather than justifying it based on the people's needs that we're engaging with.
Yeah. And I mean, you do allude to being audience first, client first. And this is also something I think we're often so focused on what we want and the outcome that we want, and what do we need to do in terms of the agenda for this hour that we have with this client, or 45 minutes or 2 hours, whatever that time frame is. Where do most people get it wrong, from that perspective?
I am the biggest propaganda machine for Richard Mulholland with his book, Here Be Dragons. I would highly recommend that anyone that has meetings, that's in sales, reads the book. He talks about creating an environment to nurture that emotional connection. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get people to care. That is where we fail. Then we need to create an environment where they can believe what we need to say. Then we need to tell them what they need to know. And then we need to tell them what they need to do. So often what we are all extremely good at is telling people what they need to know. But there is no emotional connection. We walk in with confidence. We know what we need to say. We know what we need to share with the people. But why should they listen to what we have to say? It comes to that left brain, right brain, logical, emotional thing again that some of the people spoke about earlier this morning. It's so important to first create that relationship with someone, an environment where there's an exchange of trust. When you show up to create an opportunity or to give people a reason to care, you create meaning. You create that shared experience. You give them this opportunity that we can all connect with each other on a human level. It's constantly AI this and technology that. Focus on what makes us special and unique, the opportunity to connect. Create an opportunity to care. Give them a reason to believe what you're sharing has value, why they need to listen to you. And then we tell people what they need to know and tell people what they need to do. Because ultimately, we also need to give people a plan. And I think often a lot of people fall short with that, where they come in, no, this is what needs to happen. But telling people, I'm going to get back to you. This is the date that we need to look at this. This is the steps that we need to take. This is what your entire life will look like, working towards retirements or investments or whatever the case may be. Why? Because it's easy for us to understand when we know what we need to do. And so for an audience first thing, just start with an emotional connection. It's the most beautiful thing, just to sit, have a conversation, build rapport with people, understand how they're processing things, what they're feeling, and where they want to go in life.
Yeah, and it sounds easier than it is sometimes, right? So I just want to say this is the book that he's talking about, Here Be Dragons, Richard Mulholland. I'm trying to get Richard on the show, by the way. So, but this is a great book. Absolutely wanted to show that as well, because you've mentioned it so many times.
I should actually get commission for each time I've recommended that book. I could most probably retire. I got commission from recommending the book.
Yes. So talking about emotion, I mean, this is also, if you think about the world that we live in, Enrico, so we are financial planners and advisors, and there's two kinds of financial planners and advisors. There are those that are very comfortable, like in life. I think we've got two types of people. Those who are very open and they're vulnerable and they're happy to get on the empathy side of things and emotion and all those good things. And then on the other hand, you have people who are like, we're very logical. We just like more the analyticals and those kinds of people. But I mean, how do we start off with emotion? I mean, David was talking about the emotion and the logical side, but how do we do that? And what happens when we do skip that part? If we don't start with an emotional connection or the emotional part to the conversation, what do we miss out on if we don't do that?
So people start to disconnect from you. Yes, they'll listen to what you have to say, but they're not really gonna absorb what you have to say. When we deal with anyone that wants to have a corporate event, I tell them usually that an audience member wants two things out of an event. They either want to do a better job or they want to get a better job. And I think it's an interesting thing to take that and ask yourself, how does that influence your environment when you're dealing with your customers or clients? What do they actually want to achieve and where they want to go? Because that provides you an opportunity to start a conversation. It's sometimes scary for people to think about these emotional things. Yes, like I have my to-do list and my steps that I need to take, and I don't really have time, or I don't really want to get involved with on an emotional level with people. But we miss out on actually growing with people and taking them into a direction that they prefer to go in, rather than just making recommendations on various different things. We like to remind ourselves that at our core, I'm still this little boy that wants to achieve things and prove that I'm valuable. Some lady might still feel like a little girl and trying to prove her value and these things that they want to achieve. And when we understand these things, that when we engage with people, there is this sense of fear, confusion. We tell people doubt leads to confusion. Confusion leads to fear, and fear leads to no action. We want to create an environment where there is no doubt. And that starts by understanding and acknowledging the emotions that someone is going through. It's understanding where they're at that point in time in their lives, their pain points. Because if we can understand those pain points, we can have compassion for them. And compassion is sharing the weight with that person, understanding what they're going through. We have something called the audience journey map, and it's specifically built around these different emotional points that a person goes through, because we want to understand how we can enable our audience. And it starts with, what's their intention? What do they want to achieve in every single touch point throughout an event? Now, if you have a meeting, what's the intention of that person coming into that meeting? Now, once you've done introductions, how does that intention change? Once you've shared some of your information, how does that intention change? Because it will through your conversations. And you need to be ready for that intention to change, because you need to understand what happens. Because if that intention changes, there's an emotional state that also changes. If I go into a meeting, if I use your environment as an example, going into a meeting with a potential client, their first emotional state before they log in could potentially be, I'm irritated, I don't have time for this because I'm dealing with things in my life. I know this is important, but I have to work through it and just get it done. Now they log in, you greet them with a smile, you're excited to have a conversation with them, you ask them about their personal lives, and that emotion starts to change. Does it become positive? Does it become, why is this person asking me questions about my life and my emotional state? And as those emotional states change, it starts to influence different things, like what does success look like for them? And if we understand what does success look like, what's the different touch points that then comes into place? It's obviously the human connection that we have. It's the things that we share before or after a meeting with people. And then ultimately, it's the potential obstacles that then comes in. Where are we going to fall short? When you're meeting with someone and they dial in and they're angry, what's the potential obstacles? If they're excited for their future and they want to save and they want to invest, what's the potential obstacles that comes into place? Because if we're ready for those things, we can ultimately make long change. So you can approach this entire thing in a very logical, planned way, by just asking your questions. What could this person experience? What could they feel? What could go wrong? And when you're ready, you can have a conversation with them and take them through this entire journey to ensure that they walk out feeling celebrated, excited, and ready to go and make change ultimately in their lives.
Yeah, I think it's easier than we think it is, but it's also harder sometimes, because it creates an emotion with yourself as well. Like, you can become uncomfortable sometimes with these, but the only way to learn, really, from my perspective, from my experience, is just to do it and to learn from it. It's so important. So I want to talk a little bit about turning data into story, because this is so important. I'm still can't get over how much cheese I can consume in a year. So, I mean, we specifically in financial planning and financial, like all over, I think IT and all those good places as well, but specifically financial planning. I mean, all the software we use, the thing it generates is a chart and some numbers and some tables and those kinds of things, right? So we deal with a lot of that. And sometimes those reports that is generated is like a thick back of paper for those that still print it out, or a long PDF, if you will. But I mean, we hope that the message lands, because it makes a ton of sense to us who know that stuff. But why does this fail so often? And then what can we do about it? And how do we make it memorable for the client, and that they can actually understand what we are sharing with them?
I think your audience is so confused about us talking about cheese. And so I have this talk called Life Jacket, called Story in a Flood of Data. And the entire talk is about enabling people to share data in a way that is memorable by wrapping it in stories so that there is that emotional connection that get people to care, get people to believe. And the first thing that I tell people is, when you have graphs and when you have numbers, break down the number and make it understandable for people. How do you link it to something that people can understand? When you prep a report or a presentation to share with a potential customer, you spend a lot of time on that thing. You understand it most likely like the back of your hand. And that mindset fails at the end of the day, because as an audience member or as a potential client, I don't understand what you're talking about. It is our responsibility to break down the numbers and kind of make it memorable for people. So in our talk, we take it from these 64.2 zettabytes of data, zettabytes of data. It's a number that no one can understand. And we make it smaller and smaller and smaller. And we look at all these different amounts. And then we finally get to daily calorie intake, which is 2,500 for men and 2,000 for women. And we all think we understand 2,500, but we actually don't. I refer then to a slice of cheesecake is 321 calories. So ultimately, that means I can eat 8 slices of cheesecake, which is basically an entire cheesecake, to cover my daily calorie intake. Is it healthy? No, it isn't. But it does allow me to look different at what I consume to understand these calorie intakes. And it's so important that when we share numbers, not everything is cheesecake. I know that 100%, but we need to look at different ways to share the different numbers. And when we're able to break the numbers down, we then need to package it in a different way that people are actually able to remember it. And we call that our vest. We need to provide them with a vision that creates an emotional connection that's simple to understand, and it teaches us something. So when I walk out, I remember that I can eat an entire cheesecake. I can remember what my life will look like if I save for the rest of my life, or if I invest for the rest of my life, or if I have an RA. We need to make these things tangible so that people actually understand them. If you have a conversation with a potential client and you tell them that they need to have 25 million Rand saved by the time that they're 65, it's just an idea. We don't know what it means. And I know a lot of you are breaking down those numbers. What does that numbers look like over the next 8 years once you've retired? How much do you lose on tax? How much do you need to split it up with to ensure that it still keeps on growing over that period so that it never runs out? And those are the opportunities that we need to leverage as much as possible. Make it as simple as possible and allow it to teach me something so that I can remember what you want to share or what you did share.
Yeah. So I'll also share the link with everybody to that talk. It is on YouTube available. Like it was brilliant. So if you want to go watch it, I will also share that. But also then, I think one of the things you mentioned was that when people are confronted with numbers specifically, they can go into this daydream and they just start daydreaming and they drift off and all that kind of stuff. So how do we snap them out of that? To stop them from doing that?
Yeah, so the stat is people have up to 2,000 daydreams a day, if I remember correctly. And I always tell people, like, how are you supposed to deal with a brain like that? That if you start data dumping on people, they're going to follow the road that's easiest, and they're going to start thinking about random things, conversations with their partners, what they want to do this weekend. So it's ultimately our responsibility to kind of build this blocker in place and to keep them captivated. And we also need to be honest with ourselves when something is going to be a little bit boring. It might be cool for you, but it might not necessarily be cool for your client. And you need to avoid those things. And if you can't avoid them, create an environment where you're able to make it exciting for them. And it's not making it entertaining. It's about using our brain to make it novel and look at things different. And it comes back to that VEST yet again, a vision that creates an emotional connection that is simple to understand and teaches us something. Because if we follow a journey that the brain can easily follow, because I understand it, I understand the numbers, I understand the data, we can take people to where we want to lead them. But if we sit down with a graph and this is what you're looking at, it doesn't mean anything to us. I received my investment report last week, and I had such a good laugh while looking at it, because even for someone that kind of understands these things, I still couldn't understand what it's actually telling me. And I'm like, I kind of need someone to break this down and explain how these things work. How does it influence me? How does it influence the story that I'm telling myself? Because we forget that sometimes. You look at something and you play the story in your mind around what it means. And then you come and you tell me that story. And I'm like, dude, I don't get that story, because I'm telling myself my own personal story. So then we need to reframe things so that someone's story starts matching your story. I know this seems very like over the top and crazy, but it's such an important thing to have these conversations with people and break things down so that they can connect with it on an emotional level. The story that Razan shared about Coke, it's such a exciting thing for me to hear, because we use Coke in one of our talks as an example on when you get a trend wrong. And then there's this, share a Coke with someone. It's a meaningful connection of shared value. It's an opportunity for people to be together and share a common story. And it's our responsibility as people who sell, as people who create meetings, as people who create events, to come in and say, how do I make that individual the hero in this story? Not, hey, here is my story, I am Frodo, but no, you are Frodo, and this is the adventure that you're going to go on. This is going to be the challenges, but you're going to overcome it, and you'll be celebrated at the end of the day.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, then I think it's important for us to talk about just how, if you want to design impactful experiences, then whether we're putting on a client event like an appreciation event, or just for whatever reason we're putting on an event and we get clients there, and whether it's in person or virtual. But also thinking about how am I creating this journey for my client when we're meeting with them, whether again we're meeting with them in person or virtual. Do you have some tips for that?
Yes, I had a realization now. If you have a notepad with you, write down, data tells you what's happening and stories tell you why it matters. I think personally, if you take that and you ask yourself, how am I going to wrap this thing in data? It will set you up for every single meeting, in person or virtual, and allow you to create an impactful experience. Different moments impact people in different ways. I need to check my words carefully so that I don't say anything that's going to get me in trouble long term. So if we look at a corporate company A, they have a certain culture and a certain behavior. And we understand how they speak, how they operate. We understand how the group moves together. If we break that down and we go to certain departments in that group, it creates a subculture that is already different, and the way that they speak and the way that they connect is different. And if we then break it down to smaller groups within departments, it's different experiences that these people have. It's different conversations that we have. And now we see, yes, company A did this event in Johannesburg and it was so impactful. They shared all this information, or broker Z is approaching it in a certain way and is having such a success. But people are different, and we need to prepare ourselves for where we meet them at a certain point in time and understanding what influences them. It comes back to that emotional experience thing, being prepared for what can happen. You can have the greatest experience on a meeting where you have holding slides and presentations and videos, and people walk out saying, oh, I don't really get it. I love to tell people that I've been to massive events with massive LED screens and massive lighting and pyros and cameras, and I left with no value. I've been to small events. I've been to Teams meetings where I walked away saying, yo, this has impacted me. I have this thing that I need to go and do. I'm excited. And it's our responsibility as the people who set up these things to ask, how are we going to do these things? And it comes back to, sorry, I'm talking much longer about this. It comes back to that audience journey map. Just to expand a little bit on it, when we have an event, we look at the different touch points. So there's touch point 1, people receive an RSVP. That's the first line. Then what's the emotional state? What's the intention? What's the potential obstacles that they're going to experience? Then when they arrive on site, what's the emotional state, the potential obstacles, the intention, what they want to achieve? When they walk into the venue, when the first speaker comes up, when the second speaker comes up, when the third speaker comes up, building out that entire journey allows you to be prepared. It's not just about, oh, I want to have impact based on what I have to say. No, what does impact look like for the person that you're meeting with?
Thanks very much, Enrico. So closing question. So I'm going to wrap them all into one because we're on time.
Are we not doing a 25-hour stream? I'm really disappointed now that we're not doing 25 hours.
We got to set something like that up. Okay. So 2 questions rolled into one. The one is, if anybody sits here, listen to this, watch this, or whatever, however they're listening to us, and they feel like, yeah, I know I need to do some work on my meetings and my events and my whatever it may be. What is one thing that you would say what they should do to get started and to change things up? And then also, where can they learn more about you and multimedia?
So obviously, the first thing you can do is contact me, and I can send you a quote to help you. I'm joking. We love giving away free value to everyone. First thing is start with your objectives. It is such an important thing because it guides you where you need to go. What's your objective with your meeting, with your event, with the interaction that you have with that person? Once you know what the objectives are, what's the message that you need to land to achieve those objectives? Then you need to ask yourself, through that message, how am I going to influence behavior? What is the thing that I want to see come out of this thing? What's the response that I want to get out of this person? Once you have that information, then look at your audience journey. Yet again, it comes back to the thing. What's the emotional state on the different touch points? What's the intentions on the different touch points? And phrase your messaging in a way that it achieves those things. And then when you have that, ask yourself, how am I going to give this person a reason to care? What's the emotional connection? How am I going to give this person a reason to believe? Why am I the expert that needs to share this information with them? Then tell them what they need to know. You have value. The stuff that you need to share is important. So tell them what they need to know. And then ultimately tell them what they need to do. And then just go and buy Richard Mulholland's book, Here Be Dragons. Experience it. It's a great, great, great book. And then if you want to reach out to multimedia, if you want to have a conversation with me, just ask questions. You're welcome to scan the QR code. For those of you listening to the audio recording, you can contact me at Enrico at multi-media.co.za. I'm always passionate about having these conversations with people at no cost because I want to enable people to think different, create that meaningful connection between them, their audience, and their customer, and ultimately influence behavior so that we can live in a better world and be successful together. Yes, have some fun, enjoy being human. Stop worrying about tech and AI. Enjoy moments to connect, shared experiences with value. Thank you.
Enrico, massive thank you. Really I've got goosebumps. Thank you very much. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed that. There's loads of questions I still wanted to ask you, but obviously time is against us. We will make time to do a follow-up. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you for spending it with us today. And please go and connect with Enrico on LinkedIn, of course. You can find him there. And I did share the link. I don't know if it's going to work. It seems like things are, but I will share it anyway in the description afterwards as well, where you can find the recording of Life Jacket, what is it? A Life Jacket called Story. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So yeah, fantastic. Enrico, thank you very much. Have a fantastic weekend. And thanks for joining us and spending your time with us. And thanks for everything you do.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Alrighty, with that, fantastic. Thank you very much for spending your time with us today. We look forward to being back same time, same place next week. But with that, and until then, have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be blessed and prosper. Stay curious and continue to raise the bar. Love you lots. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Propulsion. If you found value in today's episode, then there's plenty more where this came from. You can find all our previous episodes right here on the podcast, as well as on our YouTube channel. And talking about the YouTube channel, we go live every single Friday at 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. and we host many different guests, and we also talk about very interesting topics. And on the live show, there's also some incredible segments hosted by some of the most well-known and influential financial planning professionals. So you are most welcome to join us every single Friday. Put it in your diary and we will see you there. And on that note, also please do check out propulsion.co.za/community for all of the goodness and learn more about how you can become part of our amazing community and how that would benefit you, your business and your career. So on that note, stay curious and keep raising the bar.